What's it like to steal someone's man right out from under them? At my foster sister's celebration dinner, I was scrolling through my phone when I saw this post. Top comment had 50K likes. The guy I stole? My foster sister's boyfriend of 10 years. From day one in this house, I was obsessed with his whole untouchable thing. Batted my eyes a few times and he was mine. He fudged my exam scores, got me hired at his top-tier law firm without even interviewing. Meanwhile, my dear sister's been grinding away at test prep for 5 years, living on cheap takeout, and still hasn't passed. LOL. Comments tore into her. How do you face your parents? She fired back with photos from the party. There I was, bloated and puffy from years of greasy fast food, hair a total disaster, sitting alone in the corner, looking dead inside. Why would you guys assume they don't know? I was at my sister's celebration dinner, scrolling through my phone, when I saw this post. Ever stolen someone's man? What's that like? Top comment had like 50K likes. I did. Took my sister's boyfriend. They'd been together 10 years. Moved into their house and immediately got hooked on his whole "I'm too good for this world" vibe. You know those girls in romance novels who just snap their fingers and guys fall at their feet? Yeah, I did that. Worked like a charm. Guy's supposed to be Mr. Integrity, right? All about doing the right thing? Well, he changed my test scores, got me a job at his bougie law firm no interview needed, and personally tutored me for the bar. My sister? She's been stuck at some sad test prep center for years, eating ramen and failing over and over. Comments went off. How do you live with yourself? What about your parents? She posted party pics. There I was, puffy and swollen from years of greasy fast food, hair a total disaster, sitting alone in the corner, looking dead inside. Why do you guys think they don't know? Then she dropped this. Mom and dad were worried I'd stress out too much before exams. So every year, they'd slip sleeping pills into her food. You know, so I wouldn't be alone in my suffering. She passed out during every test and genuinely believed she just couldn't handle pressure. Like, how stupid can you be? Anyway, I pass now. Guess I'll tell them they can stop drugging her. I'm feeling nice today. I couldn't stop my hands from shaking as I stared at my phone. Across the room, my foster sister Betrayal was holding court, laughing and gesturing wildly while telling some story. My boyfriend Declan sat beside her, completely captivated. There was something in his expression I'd never seen directed at me, this warm, unguarded softness. I stormed over and shoved my phone right in his face. Is any of this true? His eyes dropped to the screen. I watched his face change. He didn't say a word. That was answer enough. Why? My voice cracked through the room like a whip. Deck, you know how bad I wanted Sterling and Cross. Since undergrad, working cases with you, being in court together, I worked my ass off for this. That's why I couldn't hire you. His voice was infuriatingly calm. Everyone knows we're dating. One spot opened up. If I gave it to you, people would say you slept your way in. How's that good for either of us? You studied law. You get a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest? An ugly laugh burst out of me. Tears were already running down my face. You want to talk ethics? Senior year, I interviewed at your firm. You were so paranoid about looking biased. You literally shredded my resume in front of everyone and said wasn't Sterling material. I graduated summa cum laude. Perfect, GA. Every scholarship they had. Got into grad school on merit. Published in law journals. I earned all of it. But her? I spun around and pointed at Betrayal. She fails half her classes. Can't handle basic cross-examination. But suddenly your principles don't matter anymore? You faked her transcripts, got her hired without an interview, personally tutor her for the bar like she's the next RBJ. My voice climbed higher. So tell me, Declan, are your ethics just there to keep me down? Betrayal let out a theatrical sob and ducked behind him. Sloan. My mother's shriek cut through the room as she shoved me hard enough that I stumbled backward. She was already rushing to Betrayal, pulling her into her arms like she'd been attacked. Baby, it's okay. Mommy's here. This is your day, don't let her jealousy ruin it. Sure, you're fine, sweetie. She kept one arm around Betrayal while shooting me a sharp, disappointed look. Did you seriously come here just to cause a scene? Can't you be happy for your sister for once? Why does everything have to be about you? About me? My voice came out strangled. You didn't even ask what happened. You just saw her crying and decided I must be the villain. Dad waved his hand dismissively. What else is new? Betrayal's never been the problem. You're obviously having another meltdown. Something ice cold settled in my chest. I locked eyes with him. Every year before the bar exam, Mom would bring me this homemade biscuits. Said they were for good luck. My voice dropped dangerously low. What was really in the dad? All the color drained from his face. He couldn't look at me. Mom went rigid, still clutching Betrayal. She'd gone white as a sheet. So it was all real. Tears started falling before I could stop them. All this time, I thought it was me. Thought I just choked under pressure. Thought I wasn't good enough. Mom completely broke down. She tried grabbing my hands, but I jerked away. Her face was a mess of tears, words spilling out in a panic. Sloan, we didn't want to, but Betrayal's so fragile, not strong like you. What if she couldn't handle failing by herself? What if she hurt herself? I promise, next year we won't dash. Declan jumped in, suddenly all reasonable. Look, if this is really that important to you, I can tutor you next year too. Just one more year of prep. You've got the foundation. You'll make it. One more year, just like that? The words felt like ash in my mouth. I'm 29 years old. I've been failing this exam for 5 years straight. 5 years in freezing libraries. Living on ramen. 4 hours of sleep. Studying until I threw up. Do you have any idea what that's like? My voice broke. I could barely see through the tears anymore. Watching people younger than me walk past with their bar cards while I'm still stuck? I thought I was the problem. Thought I was too stupid, too weak, couldn't handle pressure. I cried myself to sleep every night, then got up and did it all over again. And now you're telling me it didn't have to happen? 5 years of my life and that means nothing to you? 5 years of rage and heartbreak exploded out of me all at once. I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. Sloan, please dash. Mom reached for me, her face wet with crying. We were just trying to. But the words died in her throat. She knew there was no excuse for what they'd done. I turned toward the door. Sloan, Dad's voice boomed across the room. You walk out that door. You're dead to me. You hear me?
Dead to me.
I stopped. Looked back at them one last time.
Funny.
I've been dead to you for 5 years. You just didn't bother telling me. Then I walked out after that. I quit wasting time on an exam. They'd never let me pass anyway. Started applying for jobs instead. Figured my record would count for something perfect, GPA, published research, all those academic awards. Turns out I was wrong. 29. Female. 0 work experience. No bar card. Each one was a death sentence. I was literally worth less than the printer in their office. Then one day, Betrayal posted again. Pictures from that celebration dinner. Everyone grinning like nothing ever happened. Comments flooded with congratulations, like that whole Mr. Integrity thing didn't exist. That's when Declan's text came through. Got a case for Betrayal. Needs help with paperwork. You can come organize files, do some grunt work. Good experience. We win, you get credit, then I'll bring you on as an intern. The audacity made me sick. Did he seriously think I'd come running back for scraps? Another text lit up my screen. Unknown number. Interested in working together. A few days later, I showed up at the attorney meeting. Declan barely glanced at me. Still had that same superior look on his face. Good, you came around. Now pay attention and actually learn something. You'll be shadowing Betrayal during the meeting, taking notes, writing up the minutes. Should be a decent learning experience. I walked right up and sat across from him. Yeah, that's not happening. His eyes narrowed. What? I'm lead counsel for the plaintiff. He froze. Then stared at me like I'd lost my mind. 79%. Lead counsel? You don't even have a bar card. What firm would be stupid enough to hire you as an attorney? The door slammed open. A man walked in like he owned the whole damn building and took the seat right next to me without a word. Silas. Brielle's voice came out like a squeak. Declan's face went stone cold. You went to him? Do you have any idea what you've done? Yeah, I knew exactly what I'd done. Silas thorned Declan's biggest competition. Half the legal community thought he was a shark who'd do anything to win. The other half called him a genius who took cases everyone else was too scared to touch. Oh, and he and Declan? They couldn't stand each other. I looked Declan dead in the eye, kept my voice steady. When I needed someone to give me a shot, when I needed someone to believe I was good enough, you kept pushing me away, said it was about ethics and avoiding conflicts. 5 years down the drain, because no one would hire me. When I had nowhere left to turn, Silas gave me a chance. Actually trusted what I could do. So, what kind of person is he? Honestly, I don't give a damn. You dash. Declan looked like he was choking. I was trying to help you. After this case wrapped, I was going to get you into Sterling and Cross, start you at entry-level dash. Oh, now you'd pull strings for me? I cut him off with a bitter laugh. Wouldn't that be nepotism, Declan? Can't have you compromising those precious principles of yours. That shut him up real quick. Silas tapped his pen on the table. Can we get back to why we're actually here? Save the soap opera for your own time. Declan's chest was heaving, but he finally sat down, shooting daggers at me the whole time. Hours later, Declan and Brielle left looking like they'd been hit by a truck. Once they were gone, Silas turned to me. So, how was it? I finally let myself breathe. She wasn't even in my league. Silas smirked. Guess I know how to pick them. For the next 3 months, my life became a routine. Up at 5 every morning, pounding the pavement until I couldn't breathe, wearing through one pair of cheap running shoes after another. The weight started coming off slow but steady. The rest of the day, I practically lived in the file room at Silas's office, going through case after case until the words blurred together. No more living off instant noodles. No more waking up puffy and drained. Looking in the mirror didn't feel like a punch to the gut anymore. The person looking back actually seemed like someone who could win. Things were finally starting to click. Then the day before trial, my phone rang. My grandmother was dying. I raced back to my grandmother's house, panic clawing at my chest the whole way. But when I got there, it was just my parents, standing there with these grim expressions on their faces. Where's Grandma? My voice came out hoarse. Dad barely looked at me. Blew up your phone all day. You ignored every call, but mentioned Grandma's dying, and suddenly you show up. What happened to her? Where is she? He finally came out with it. Your grandmother's perfectly fine. She's at your aunt's, recovering from a cold. Maybe when your mom and I are actually on our deathbeds, we'll get this kind of attention. My blood turned to ice. They'd lied. Again. Dad kept going. You're not going to court tomorrow. Brielle came home from that meeting devastated. This is his first real case at Sterling and Cross. It's huge for her. If she loses, she'll never live it down at the firm. My teeth ground together. So for her, you'd lie about your own mother being on her deathbed? Sloan. Dad's voice boomed. The vein in his forehead was throbbing. Why can't you ever just let things go? Her father died saving my life. The least I can do is treat her like my own. But no, you have to turn everything into a competition. I'm the one competing? I shot back. Are you kidding me right now? Years of buried rage came flooding out again at that moment. She walks in and gets the master bedroom, designer clothes, all your attention because God forbid anyone think you're not treating your dead friend's kid well enough. But I'm supposed to just smile and take it. And college? You could only send one of us, so you chose Ho to be fair. If Grandma hadn't literally threatened to kill herself and emptied every penny she had saved for her own funeral just to send me, I'd have nothing. Nothing. My hands were shaking so violently, I could barely point at them. My own parents sabotaged my future to look fair. My boyfriend of 10 years killed my career for the same garbage excuse. What is it about me that makes everyone treat me like I'm toxic? Oh, I get it now. I'm your real daughter, so I'm the one you sacrifice. The price you pay to show the world how generous and selfless you are. I couldn't breathe through the sobs. It felt like something inside me was tearing in half. Mom was crying too now, mascara running down her face. That's not, we do love you. Please just calm down. Here, drink some water. She grabbed a glass, filled it, and practically forced it into my hands. My head was pounding, throat burning. I took it on autopilot and gulped down half the glass. Then everything started tilting. My arms and legs went numb. I sank into the couch, staring at her in horror. She covered her face, shoulders shaking, couldn't even meet my eyes. Dad turned away, voice thick. Just a sleeping pill. Low dose. You'll sleep through tomorrow, that's it. Won't hurt you. Mom collapsed beside the couch, grabbing my hand, sobbing. Sloan, I'm so sorry. Just this once. I swear, one last time. She can't lose this case, she just can't. Dad sighed heavily. Come on, let's go. My eyelids were concrete. I watched them walk out through a blur of tears. Next day in court, Mom unscrewed a water bottle cap and held it up to Brielle's mouth. Sweetie, relax. Have a sip. Dad squeezed her shoulder, grinning like a proud fool. My girl's gonna crush it. Already booked us a table for tonight, whole family celebrating your first win. Thanks, Dad. Brielle flashed him a sweet smile, though her eyes kept flicking toward the entrance. Declan stood off to the side, voice dripping with confidence. Don't stress. We prepped for everything. Nothing's going wrong. Across the aisle, Silas glanced at his watch. Third time in the last 2 minutes. 4 minutes until the hearing started. He tried my number again. Still off. His assistant was sweating bullets, voice barely a whisper. Should we ask for a delay? Silas didn't answer, just clenched his jaw tight. Your Honor dash. Declan's voice cut smoothly through the courtroom. Seeing as opposing counsel has failed to appear, we'd like to. Sorry I'm late. My voice echoed from the doorway. Everyone in that courtroom froze, including Declan, who'd been mid-argument about some procedural bullshit. Every head turned toward the door. I walked in, silhouetted against the hallway light. Brielle's files went flying out of her hands, papers scattering everywhere. She looked at me like I'd crawled out of a grave. That's you. Can't be. She was barely coherent, grabbing onto Declan's arm like she needed something to hold her up. Declan looked just as rattled. For a split second, his eyes shot over to my parents, who were sitting there looking equally freaked out. The moment I spoke, Silas's whole body language changed. He settled back in his chair, watched me drop into the seat beside him, then leaned in just enough that his voice wouldn't carry. What the hell happened? I set my briefcase down, matched his tone. They drugged me. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Then, he spotted the bandages wrapped around my palm. After my parents left last night, I bit down on my tongue until I tasted blood. Used the pain to fight through the fog long enough to crawl to the coffee table, smash a glass, and drag a shard across my hand. That shock of agony bought me just enough clarity to get myself to the ER. Spent the rest of the night getting my stomach pumped. Sheer rage was the only thing that kept me conscious through it all. The judge's gavel came down. Order. Now that plaintiff's counsel has arrived, let's proceed. Declan snapped back into lawyer mode and addressed the bench. Your Honor, I need to point out that Ms. Mercer hasn't passed the bar. She's not licensed to sign pleadings or appear in court on her own. The judge's eyes shifted to me. I stood, looked him straight on, kept my voice clear. Your Honor, I've passed the MBE and completed all my internship requirements. I'm appearing today as a supervised law clerk under Mr. Thorne's license. He's reviewed and signed everything we filed. It's all proper. Silas gave a quick nod of confirmation. The judge didn't waste time on it. We're in session. Silas was technically running the show, but from that point on, it was my game. I tore into Brielle. Each question hit harder than the last. She was drowning, stumbling over answers, sweat beading on her forehead, throwing panicked looks at Declan every 30 seconds. Counsel, the signature date on the safety inspection report, it doesn't match when the plant actually opened. Want to explain that? Brielle's mouth worked, but nothing came out. She shuffled through her papers like she'd find the answer hidden in there somewhere. Then she just broke. Started crying right there at the defense table. The gallery buzzed with whispers. This was embarrassing. In the back row, I caught some of the Sterling and Cross partners exchanging looks, shaking their heads. They were not happy. The judge's face went hard. He slammed the gavel down, voice sharp as glass. Defense counsel, get yourself together. This is a court of law. That was the final straw. She crumpled forward onto the table, full on sobbing now. Declan looked like he wanted to disappear. He jumped up. Your Honor, we need a recess. The judge took one look at the disaster unfolding and banged his gavel again. 15 minutes. Brielle ran out of there like the room was on fire. I finally let myself breathe, felt some of the tension leave my body. Started to stand. A hand cracked across my face, so hard my ears rang. You won't stop until she's dead, will you? She's your sister. The slap came out of nowhere, nearly sent me sprawling. Silas caught me before I went down. He was already between me and my mother, blocking her from taking another swing. This is a courtroom. Control yourself. Dad came barreling over, practically shaking with rage. Are you out of your damn mind? Look what you did to Brielle. She's your sister. You had to tear her apart in front of everyone. Declan stood there glaring at me like I'd committed some unforgivable sin. Was it really worth it? Going after me like that? I shook off Silas's hand, steadied myself, and actually laughed. Declan, this is court. We're supposed to go at each other. She showed up unprepared, crumbled under questioning, couldn't take the pressure that's on her, not me. I let that hang for a second, then added, voice dropping. You've got bigger problems than me right now. Like how you're gonna explain this mess to those partners watching from the gallery. Declan's face went rigid. He put Brielle on this case to show her off, make her look good. Instead, it turned into a train wreck. You dash, the words died in his throat. I turned to my parents. You keep saying she's my sister, but nobody bothered asking me when she moved in. Nobody gave a damn what I thought. Mom switched gears, tears streaming. Sweetheart, please. Just let her win this one. I'll make it up you anything you want. I almost laughed in her face. After everything they'd done, they were still picking her over me. I'm not backing off. I'm going to bury her. The bailiff called us back in right then. And I did exactly what I said I would. Went straight for every weakness, hit 10 times harder than before. Shredded their case piece by piece, backed them into corners with no way out. We crushed them. Brielle turned ghost white and collapsed. Declan had to catch her, looking like someone had punched him in the gut. The client stormed past on his way out, voice dripping with contempt. This is what Sterling and Cross calls top-tier representation? My lawyer will be in touch. He slammed the door behind him. One of the senior partners, Harrison, grabbed Declan by the arm and pulled him aside. What the hell just happened in there? I had someone dig up Sloan Mercer's file, law, straight A's, published work, the whole package. She's exactly the kind of lawyer we want. And she applied here 5 years ago. So, why isn't she working for us? Declan's voice came out quiet. Mr. Harrison, she was my girlfriend back then. I thought it'd look bad if I dash. Look bad. Harrison let out a sharp laugh. Are you kidding me? You got into this firm because of me. This whole business runs on who you know, mentors, referrals, connections. That's how it works, as long as it's legal. But you turned away someone actually qualified and handed her straight to our competition. Then you brought in someone who crashed and burned in open court. He was practically yelling now. You just killed your partnership track. The committee was about to vote. Not happening now. All the color drained from Declan's face. Before he could get a word out, Harrison shoved past him and walked away. After we won that case, my name started making the rounds, people were talking. I upgraded to a better apartment and dove into bar prep. Exam was coming up fast. Meanwhile, Brielle's career at Sterling and Cross crashed and burned. That courtroom disaster became the office joke. Everyone knew she'd fallen apart on the stand. Declan couldn't save her. The partners came down hard, and he had to cut her loose. Apparently, she made a scene on her way out. Nobody stopped her. Declan wasn't faring much better himself. His partnership? Dead. The senior attorneys had lost all faith in him. The case spiraled into more disputes, and the client followed through on his threat took his business elsewhere. Sterling and Cross's reputation in that practice area took a serious hit. Several of Declan's biggest clients started shopping around. None of it mattered to me anymore. Then the day before my exam, Mom called. Sloan. Her voice sounded small, fragile. You free tomorrow? I really want to see you. That Italian place by your office, can we grab dinner? Just talk. Every instinct told me to say no. I said yes anyway. Next day, she was already there when I walked in. Her eyes went red the second she spotted me. Sloan. You came. Look, I got your favorite honey garlic ribs. I sat down. Didn't pick up my fork. How do I know there's nothing in the food this time? She froze, hand hovering over the serving dish. Started shaking her head hard. There's nothing. I swear. I would never not after. God, I know what I did. I know I was wrong. She put the spoon down, pressed a napkin to her eyes, words tumbling out. Things have been a disaster at home. Total disaster. Brielle got fired, moved back in, and now she's impossible. Screaming at everyone, breaking things, blaming the whole world for how her life turned out. Your dad's a wreck, his blood pressure sky high. The house doesn't even feel like a home anymore. She looked at me with this desperate, hopeful expression. I saw the news about your win. Heard you're doing amazing now, that Mr. Thorne's really impressed with you. Honestly, honey, I'm so proud. You've always been brilliant. I sat there feeling absolutely nothing. Then she said, I made mistakes. Big ones. But can't you forgive me? We're family. Family? The word came out cold. You know what, Mom? Sometimes I think you're actually worse than Dad. At least he's honest about it. He thinks Brielle got dealt a bad hand, so she deserves everything even if I have to pay the price. He doesn't hide it. Doesn't pretend. Her whole body went rigid. I didn't stop. But you acted like you loved both of us equally. I thought you were just too scared of Dad to speak up for me. Thought you were caught in the middle. Then you slapped me in that courtroom. First one to come me. That's when it finally clicked. I leaned in, watched the panic bloom in her eyes. She's yours too, isn't she? Mom's face went white as a sheet. Her lips started trembling. She shook her head violently. No. You're crazy. Sloan, what are you talking about? Brielle's your dad's buddy's kid. Are you out of your mind? I let out a cold laugh and pulled a folded document from my bag, pushed it across the table. Brielle's mom didn't die in some accident. She found out about you too and jumped off a building. And her dad didn't die saving mine. He was already dying, so you both staged that whole hero act to guilt trip Dad into taking Brielle in. You've been lying to him for years. Used his guilt, his sense of honor, to hide what you really did. Oscar-worthy. Performance, Mom. Really? She was shaking head to toe now. Whatever mask she'd been wearing completely fell apart. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. Several cops in uniform walked straight up to our table. Mom shot out of her chair, voice breaking. What's happening? You're arresting me? I had an affair, that's not a crime. And I didn't put anything in the food. I stayed calm. No, the food's fine. But those new guys working in the kitchen? The ones you hired? You weren't planning on letting me make it to that exam in one piece, were you? A minute later, officers came out from the back with 3 heavily tattooed guys in kitchen uniforms that didn't fit, looking scared shitless. Mom looked like she might collapse. She stared at me with pure venom, but couldn't get a single word out. We've got it from here. Silas appeared out of nowhere, nodded at the lead officer, then looked at me. It's handled. Evidence is solid. Go home, rest up, take your exam. No one's coming after you again. I watched them walk my mother out in cuffs, glanced back at Silas, and nodded. This time, nothing went wrong. No sabotage, no drama. I finished the exam without a single problem. Took a few days to recover. Then Dad called me back to the house. The second I walked in, he grabbed my arm and yanked me inside. Do you have any respect left for this family? For me, your mother screwed up, but she's still your mother. How could you have her arrested? Do you know what jail does to people? She's not healthy. Does that mean nothing to you? Brielle was on the couch, eyes swollen from crying. When she saw me, she jumped up, tears spilling over again, voice all choked up. Sloan, how could you? Mom just wanted things to be okay between you two. She was trying so hard to fix things, to keep us together. She practically begged you. And you, why did you have to destroy her? She's our MOM. She looked absolutely devastated. Dad completely lost it. Jabbed his finger at me. You hear that? Your sister gets it. But you? What happened to you? All that fancy education, and now you don't give a damn about your own blood. I looked up at him, slowly shook my head. He stopped, confused for a second, then exploded. What's that supposed to mean? Think you're so much better than us now? Think you can just do whatever you want? I didn't say anything, just reached into my bag, pulled out a thin envelope, and sat on the coffee table, then turned and walked toward the door. Sloan, don't you walk away from me. What is this? Answer me. His voice boomed behind me. I kept walking, didn't look back. Right as I opened the door, I heard him roar like something had broken inside him. You lying whore. You and that bastard. You made a fool out of me. Then everything erupted, crashing, shattering, screaming. I stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind me. I passed the bar on the first shot. Started working cases with Silas, and turns out the rumors were true. He only went after the ones nobody else wanted to touch. Long hours, brutal work. But God, I missed feeling like this. One day I was knee-deep in case files when Silas walked into my office. Declan got fired. I looked up. Seriously? That case was a disaster for him, but fired wasn't just a case. He walked over to the window, nodded for me to come look. The thing that finally did him in? You actually had a hand in that. I joined him at the window, followed his line of sight to the building across the street. Declan was standing outside holding a box of his stuff, trying to pry off a woman who had a death grip on his arm. Her hair was all over the place, clothes rumpled. Even from up here, I could tell it was Brielle. They were going at it right there on the sidewalk. People walking by were practically running to get away from them. Once you blew up Brielle's whole origin story, your dad went ballistic and threw her out. She had nowhere to go, so she's been clinging to Declan ever since. Problem is, he's barely keeping his own head above water. They've been tearing each other apart over money, where she's gonna live, whose responsibility she is. Silas took a drink of his coffee. Brielle finally lost it. Started showing up at his office making scenes, sobbing in the lobby. Couple days ago, she had a complete breakdown right outside a partner's meeting screaming about how Declan got her the job, airing out all the dirty laundry. Sterling and Cross already had it out for him. That was the last straw. They cut him loose. I stood there watching the train wreck below. Remembered that post from Brielle's party all those years ago. Guess she got what she wanted. Not my problem anymore though. Those two didn't take up any space in my head now. Couple years later, I made partner. Started sitting in on candidate interviews. One morning, Declan walked through the door. He looked like hell nothing like the guy I used to know. But I knew him the second I saw him. Before he could say a word, I grabbed his resume, ripped it in half, and tossed it in the trash. Fed him the exact same line he'd given me years ago, word for word. He went pale, swayed a little. He knew exactly what I was doing. Turned around and left without a sound. After interviews wrapped, I grabbed my stuff and headed out. Got to the lobby, and someone came flying out of the shadows, blocked my path. Declan. Again. He looked even worse than he had upstairs, eyes wild, desperate. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. It was all me. I screwed up. I was an idiot. I destroyed what we had. Please, we were together for 10 years. Can't you just give me something? Anything? I'll file papers, organize storage. One don't care. I'm drowning here. His voice broke. Brielle torched my reputation. No one will hire me. I'm buffed in debt. I can't dash. I looked at him. This guy I used to think walked on water. Felt nothing. Mr. Sterling, come on. Given our history, if I brought you on board, what would people say? And my head wanted him freeze. They'd say you got the job because you used to sleep with me. Then Darian Sterling only made it here because Sloan Mercer handed him a fan. You were a lawyer once. You know all about conflicts of interest, right? Something broke in him. He stumbled back, face going white, nothing left but pure despair. I dusk Rick around. Walked past him to where Silas was waiting by the car. He opened the door. We drove off. I won't looking back anymore. Only moving forward.